Oscar has to pay for what he did. He has to pay for it.
Riva Steenkamp's father says Oscar Pistorius must pay for her murder. Henry van Breda appears in court and charged with the murder of his parents and brother. Hello and welcome to it. You're watching eNEWS Direct. I'm Duduzile Ramela.
And I'm Sandy Ngangose. Good evening.
To comment on any of our stories, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook, and that's at eNEWS Direct.
And tonight our hashtags are Oscar Pistorius and Concord.
Riva Steenkamp's father wants convicted murderer Oscar Pistorius to pay for his crime. But Barry says he and his wife have forgiven Pistorius. The 73-year-old's grief was palpable as he testified in aggravation of Pistorius' sentencing for murder.
Do you swear that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Barry Steenkamp says he was physically unable to testify during Oscar Pistorius' first trial for his daughter's murder.
Thank you.
Now, after the appeal court overturned Pistorius' culpable homicide conviction and replaced it with one of murder, the distraught father says he has to testify. He gave heart-rending evidence about how he learnt that his daughter was dead.
I got a phone call from June. I couldn't really understand what she was so upset about, screaming and shouting. At first I thought most probably one of our animals had got killed or so. And she said, come home immediately, come home. Anyway, I dropped everything. And on my way home I tried to fathom out what she tried to tell me. And then I realized that she mentioned Riva. She says, come home immediately, and Riva's name was there. And that's when I started the panic. And then driving home, I realized more and more Riva's been killed.
3 years on, his pain and grief has still not lessened. He remains tormented by thoughts of his daughter's last moments.
Well, she must have gone through those split seconds. She must have been in so much fear and pain. That is what I think of all the time.
Barry Steenkamp's pain was a physical force in courtroom GD and is very likely to be used by the state to counter the defence's argument that Oscar Pistorius is a broken man who should not be jailed.
My lady, it's been very difficult for me to forgive. But I feel the same, that Oscar has to pay for what he did. He has to pay for it.
The state also led evidence from prison nurse Charlotte Mashabane, who testified about several altercations she'd had with Pistorius during his incarceration.
And when he entered into the office, he came alone. And then he started, I need my feedback. Now he started, no, don't play these tactics. He banned now, he was having a notebook, sort of like it's a diary. Yes. So he used that diary to bang next to the table where I was sitting.
Did he say something about your competence or Dr. Tsatsi's competence?
He talks about Dr. Tsatsi, even ourselves, that, we are being so useless, not knowledgeable. He doesn't know what kind of a doctor, whether he went, he talked a lot of things regarding to the degrading of Dr. Tsatsi.
The state will call its last witness on Wednesday. Karen Morn, Pretoria.
Staying in the courts, and triple axe murder accused Henry van Breda is on his way to the Western Cape High Court. Van Breda is accused of bludgeoning his parents and brother to death in January last year. He was arrested after handing himself over to Stellenbosch police yesterday.
Henry van Breda arriving at the Stellenbosch Magistrates Court. The 21-year-old is yet to plead to 5 charges, including murder, attempted murder, and defeating the ends of justice. He's accused of hacking his family to death at their Goske Street home at the upmarket De Zalze Golf Estate in Stellenbosch. His parents, Martin and Teresa, as well as his brother Rudy, died at the scene. His then 16-year-old sister Marley narrowly escaped death. She suffered extensive head injuries and is said to be suffering from retrograde amnesia. Earlier this week, the state warned Van Breda's lawyers of his imminent arrest. His counsel advised him to turn himself in instead. The state says there is mounting evidence against Van Breda.
On the evening of that 26th, loud voices were heard from the household. On that morning, the 3 deceased were found in the house. And the axe and the knife, they come from the household. He had slipper shorts and white socks. The clothing he had on had blood. The DNA from the blood proved that the blood was from the deceased.
The NPA won't be pressed on Marley's condition, though, or whether she will testify against her brother. Henry Van Breda stood stony-faced in the dock. He appeared somewhat flushed after greeting his family before being led out of court. He's since been released on a 100,000 rand bail and will stay at an undisclosed location until his pre-trial hearing at the Western Cape High Court on the 9th of September. Leanne Jansen at the Stellenbosch Magistrates Court.
In other news, the Independent Electoral Commission's failure to update addresses on the voters' roll violates the Constitution. That's the ruling of the Constitutional Court. Last month, the IEC approached the court asking to proceed with the local government polls in August with an incomplete election roll. The addresses of at least 12 million registered voters are unknown to the IEC. This resulted in fraud at the polls during the 2013 Tlokwe by-election.
The IEC has lost its case, but it's been thrown a lifeline.
The declaration of the IEC's compilation of the National Common Voters Roll as unlawful, inconsistent with the Constitution and therefore invalid, will be suspended for 18 months from the date of this judgment.
So the IEC has until January 2018 to clean up the voters' roll, and it's legally bound to record all voters' addresses. It failed to do so, and millions of citizens risked losing the right to vote. But updating the voters' roll now would have resulted in the postponement of the upcoming elections. The Independent Electoral Commission has welcomed the ruling.
The judgment that has been made now gives us what we were looking for, is the clarity and certainty as to what is the way forward.
The lack of addresses paved the way for electoral fraud during the 2013 by-elections in Tlokwe, when voters were bussed in from other areas. The Commission must now update the court every 6 months on its progress.
At the end of the day, if anybody votes where he or she is not supposed to vote, the IEC will be the first respondent in court.
The IEC has assured the public that even though the voters' roll doesn't contain all the addresses, it has all the tools in place to guarantee a free and fair election on the 3rd of August. Pagamile Hlubi, Johannesburg.
The firefighters who embarked on a strike in Canada have valid concerns. That's the word from Environmental Affairs Minister Edna Molewa. However, Molewa says they should have raised the matter differently. The 300 working on fire employees returned home today.
Finally back on home soil, these firefighters were sent to Canada to help put out raging wildfires in Alberta. But they soon downed their fire hoses over a pay dispute. They'd been told they would receive $50 Canadian or 600 rand daily. They'd get a portion of that amount, with the remainder paid on their return. They'll also continue to receive their monthly working on fire stipend. But on arrival in the country, the workers learnt the Canadian firefighters were being paid more. Working on fire has now met with the minister.
We understood exactly that there wasn't really quite a huge problem as it was being purported back home here, but rather what was happening is that there was probably a very legitimate issue that was raised a bit in an inappropriate manner.
The minister says she remains proud of the work the firefighters have done.
we shouldn't condemn them. And I think that it is an issue for us to understand and therefore not say we think that they've embarrassed us.
Working on Fire maintains every cent received in Canada went towards the firefighters while they were abroad. Malungi Lubui, Pretoria.
World News Now and reports today that the shooter in the massacre at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida, had himself frequented the venue over a number of years. Pulse customers and other witnesses also said they recognized Omar Martin from gay dating apps. Martin opened fire in the nightclub in the early hours of Sunday morning, killing 49 people and wounding dozens before being shot dead by police. Thousands of people have been attending vigils across the U.S. and elsewhere, while landmarks in world cities have been lit up in rainbow lights to remember the victims. And French police have launched an anti-terror investigation into the murder of 2 police officials in their home near Paris. The attacker fatally stabbed an officer before taking his partner, also a police member, and a child hostage. The woman was found dead, but the child was rescued by police. The assailant was killed during the police assault. He had spent time in jail over links to jihadist groups.
Time now to get into all of your social media with Dubuzi.
Indeed it is. Thank you so much, Sandile. Text messages apparently sent by Marius Fransman to Louisa Wynand have emerged. The messages published by the Daily Maverick show Fransman flirting with his new employee. Wynand has accused the Western Cape ANC leader of sexually harassing and fondling her while traveling to Rustenburg in January. In one of the messages, he seems to tell Wynand not to share the news of the new job with her boyfriend. Wynand then tells him she does not mix business with pleasure, while the NPA in the Northwest declined to prosecute Fransman due to lack of evidence. The matter is being considered as he may have a case to answer in the Northern Cape. We end with this. Penny Sparrow has come out of hiding and exclusively told News 24 that she's not a racist. Last week, Sparrow was fined 150,000 rand for comparing black people with monkeys on Facebook. Sparrow says she didn't mean to insult anyone and adds that white people use monkey as a term of endearment. She conceded that in hindsight, she does not see why her post could be construed as racist. We do love to hear from you. You can check us out on Twitter and Facebook, and that's at eNEWS Direct. Or you can head on over to our website, that's eNCA.com/direct. We've got your business news after the break as well as your weather. Money matters now, and municipal workers unions SAMU and Solidarity are concerned about the high number of vacancies at municipalities. They quote Stats SA, which claims there are over 40,000 vacancies in the country's 278 municipalities. According to the agency, the city of Cape Town, the Mangaung Metro and the Emfuleni local municipality are the worst affected. The unions want the posts filled, starting with essential posts. Right, let's see how the markets performed today. Let's check in with the Weather Centre now. Here's Candace.
It's been another wintry day for the majority of South Africa on Tuesday, but on Wednesday we're expecting sunny and warmer weather over the central and northeastern parts. However, another frontal system keeps the cloudy, wet and wintry weather in the forecast over the western and southern part of the country, with windy conditions over the interior parts of the Cape provinces. There's a warning for the possibility of heavy rainfall over the southwestern part of South Africa, with a watch for localized flooding over that same part of the country on Wednesday. Temperatures remain warm for KwaZulu-Natal though, with highs in the upper 20s for Richards Bay and Ulundi, 26 for Durban and Pietermaritzburg. A warmer day is forecast throughout the Eastern Cape, but with a large amount of cloud and the possibility of rainfall. Highs head into the low 20s along the coast, 22 degrees with up to a 40% chance of rainfall for George and Plettenberg Bay. Cloudy and wet over the southwestern part of the Western Cape with another cold day in store, and of course there's that warning for heavy rainfall. Cloudy, wet and cold over the western and southern part of the Northern Cape, with a sunny forecast as we head further north and east. A warmer day for the Free State with highs in the upper teens and low 20s. You'll see a sunny day for the northwest, 24 degrees from Vryburg through to Zeerust, including Rustenburg. It'll be a sunny and warm day for Limpopo on Wednesday with highs in the middle and upper 20s, around 30 degrees for Messina and Phalaborwa, 32 as we head towards Kokuza with fine and dry weather throughout Mpumalanga, and a maximum of around 20 for the Highvelds. You'll see a warmer day with the skies clearing out over Gauteng on Wednesday, 21 degrees for Soweto and Johannesburg, and Pretoria warming up to 23. We're forecasting cold weather over the western, southern and central part of the country on Thursday, with morning rainfall for Cape Town and rain and cooler weather over the eastern parts on Thursday. We're forecasting a chilly day across South Africa on Friday, with the possibility of rain over the eastern parts, still fine and mild for Gauteng. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you, Candice. After the break, an Eastern Cape artist hopes to inspire more young people to pursue art as a career. Welcome back. An award-winning Eastern Cape artist is hoping more young people can take up art as a career.
Indeed, Asanda Kupa says young South Africans need this in order to create their own job opportunities.
Asanda Kupa is an award-winning artist from a small town in the Eastern Cape.
I remember growing up in Mondino and you're watching cartoons or you're watching TV. You wonder how they are made.
After high school, Kupa ignored his passion for the arts and wanted to study accounting, but his marks weren't good enough, so he ended up doing odd jobs.
So then my mother encouraged me to go and study. So she gave me another chance. So I took it in 2005. I registered with Walter Sisulu University in East London to study fine art.
In 2013, he won the Reinhold Cassier Award for highlighting socio-economic issues, politics and poverty in the mix of the Marikana massacre. But he says the industry has its challenges.
Being black in this industry is quite difficult a bit because this is a white-dominated industry. Not a lot of black people understand art or they're interested in art.
The 35-year-old says it's now up to the youth of today to change their perceptions about art.
What I think happened in June 16, 1976 was young people took initiative to try and be independent, to try and have their own voice. I think that people should take from art is that you can do things for yourself.
Kupa says it's in this space where he feels most free as a young person. Zikona Chona, Johannesburg.
Idiot.
All I'm saying. Here's a reminder of the day's top stories before we say goodbye.
Oscar has to pay for what he did. He has to pay for it.
Riva Steenkamp's father says Oscar Pistorius must pay for her murder. Henry van Breda appears in court charged with the murder of his parents and brother. And that's a wrap from the eNEWS Direct team.
It is indeed. Until next time, good night.